Call the Charles City's Community School District regular board meeting, Board of Education meeting to order with roll call vote, please. Terry?
Maycumber?
Here.
Walker?
Here.
Dyke?
Here.
Bryan?
Here.
Mack?
Here.
Hilton?
Here.
Rosiska?
Here.
Reading of the district mission, vision, statement, and core values by Director Dyke.
Our vision to engage, inspire, and empower students and staff in order to maximize learning. Our mission, regardless of who you are or what your story is, you can learn and be loved here.
Thank you, Scott. Agenda item number 3, approval of the agenda. Is there any revisions or additions?
No changes.
I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the agenda as presented. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries 5-0. At this time, I'd like to welcome visitors and the public. If you look toward tonight's agenda, you will see our rules for public comment. Moving on to agenda item number 5, consideration of consent agenda.
Move to approve the consent agenda as listed.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda items as listed below. Is there any other additional comments? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, motion carries 5-0. Agenda item number 6, canvass of elections. The official abstract of votes from the Floyd County Board of Supervisors for the school election held on November 18, 2019. Terry, do you want to read these, please?
Yeah, the official abstract of votes from the Floyd County Board of Supervisors for the school election held on November 18, 2019. The official results are as follows. These are for a 4-year term. Janice Berglund, 1,173. Patricia Rottinghouse, 1,163. Robin Maycumber, 1,000, scattering 29. So elected for the office Director at Large for a term of 4 years, Janice Berglund and Patricia Rottinghouse.
Motion to approve the abstract of votes as presented.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the abstracts of votes as presented. Is there any other discussion? Questions? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, motion carries 5-0. Agenda item number 7, adjourning and retiring board.
Following the reading of a resolution, the retiring board will adjourn and the new members will join the board at the board seats. Whereas public schools are being held to higher standards of accountability than ever before at state and federal levels, and whereas school boards work diligently to ensure our young people are educated and prepared for college, careers, and citizenship, and whereas the men and women elected to school board positions deserve recognition and thanks for their countless hours of volunteer service to public education, and whereas Jason Walker and Robin Maycumber have faithfully served the students and citizens of the Charles City Community School District for 5 and 6 years respectively, be it therefore resolved that the residents of the Charles City Community School District acknowledge the contributions made by these board members and declare their appreciations and gratitude for such service. I would entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second on the resolution. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Motion carries 5-0.
I want to thank you for your service. We have a little small gift for you. Thank you, Jason, for everything.
Thank you for everything. There you go.
Appreciate it.
Name badge?
Oh, we do.
You better pose for your picture.
You have to get your name badge. You did that as well. There you go.
So you could recycle that.
We welcome the new board members to join us at the table. Janice.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Oh, I'm not going to drink mine.
Okay.
I brought my own, so there you go. Now you have two.
Oh, we have to make sure the brand's out there so everybody can see.
Oh,
Charles
okay.
City.
Is that my problem? I don't, I see, I just need a sticker.
We gotta put a sticker
Like
on
I
there,
said,
so.
yeah. I need a decal. I'll fix it. Okay.
All right, I'd like to call to order the organizational meeting. I'll be temporarily chairing it as we get through the organizational part. Secretary O'Brien, would you do roll call vote, please?
Dyke,
Here.
Freund,
Here.
Mack, Roninghouse. Here. Berglund.
Here.
Tilden,
Here.
Rosiska.
Here.
Agenda item 8, oath of office for newly elected board members. Iowa Code 277.28 states that a newly elected board member must take the oath of office at or before the organizational meeting. Board members can be sworn in at any time between the canvass of the election and the end of the organizational meeting. Board Secretary O'Brien will administer the oath of office to Janice Berglund and Pat Roninghouse at this time.
We rise. Do we do it together? Yeah.
Go ahead and rise.
Okay.
Can you stand together?
Does that make it easier for you? Yes.
Have more room in the paper rather than having one.
Okay. Do you solemnly swear that you will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Iowa, and that you will faithfully and impartially, to the best of your ability, discharge the duties of the office of Board Director in the Charles City Community School District as now and hereafter required by law? If so, say I do. I do.
I will now call, agenda item 9, I will now call for nominations for the board president for 2019 and 20.
Superintendent Fisher, I nominate Josh Mack.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second for Josh Mack. Any other nominations? Nominations are closed. All in favor of Josh Mack as board president, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, Josh Mack will be board president for 2019 and 20. So, President Mack, if you want to take chair of the meeting.
Sure. Let's make a call for nomination for vice president of the board for 2000.
I got to swear you in first. Do you want to move over here?
Sure.
We'll switch again.
Musical chairs.
Don't forget your name. Oh, Justin's on it.
Justin's on it.
Okay. Do you solemnly swear that you will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Iowa, and that you will faithfully and impartially, to the best of your ability, discharge the duties of the office of Board President in the Charles City Community School District as now and hereafter required by law?
I do. Thank you, Terry. So let's make a call for a nomination for board vice president for 2019 and 20.
Nominate Missy Freund.
I'll second.
We have a nomination for Missy Freund for vice president, and first and second. Is there any discussion? Let's take a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. Missy Freund will be vice president of the board for 2019-20. Now she gets to do it.
Do you solemnly swear that you will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Iowa, and that you will faithfully and impartially, to the best of your ability, discharge the duties of the office of Board Vice President in the Charles City Community School District as now and hereafter required by law?
I do.
Thank you, Terry. Agenda item number 11, committee appointments for 2019-20. So if you would look at your agenda, we have 5 standing committees: facilities, which talks about facilities and grounds; communications and public relations; finance committee; negotiations and compensation; and policy committee. Does anybody have any preferences on what they're interested in or would like to do?
I'd like to stay on facilities and finance, if that's all right.
Director Dyer, I think that would be great. You have a lot of experience in those areas and can bring some great insight to the board for those. Does anybody else have any interest in facilities?
I was just going to say, I would like to stay on policy and SiAC. Those are 2 that I would prefer to stay on if possible.
That sounds great, Director Foyne. Thank you. Director Rottinghouse, Director Berglund.
I would take communications.
Sounds great. Okay. I'd like to do negotiations and compensation since I've had a lot of experience on that for the last couple of years. Director Rottinghouse, would you like to do that one as well?
I would.
Okay. So we still need someone for communications and public relations, facilities, the other side of finance, policy, and SiAC. Well,
I
we
would
have
do SiAC.
Okay. Thank you.
I'll take facilities too.
Okay, great.
Well, I didn't catch that last one.
That was
Facilities.
Facilities.
Do you need to do another one?
So we still need somebody for communications and public relations. I'll do the finance with Director Dite, and that way we need somebody for communications and public relations and policy.
I can stay on communications and public relations.
That'd be great, thank you.
I can do policy.
Great, thank you. And then the delegate for the IASB Delegate Assembly, we can talk about that one as we get closer to it. That's over a year away. Scott did that last year and he did a great job. And Scott and I did it together. And I thought it was a lot of fun learning how that was. And then the county conference board representative, I'm not sure what Vice President Walker did with that one. Does anybody have any insight in what that is?
Yeah, I've done it before when I was on the board in the 90s. You go to 2 meetings a year with the county assessor's office, supervisors, mayors, and the school board rep from every school district that's in the county sets the wages and budget for the county assessor's office. Generally, they have 2 meetings a year. One for preliminary, here's what we think and propose for a budget, and then 2, approve the budget and give raises. If anything else happens that they need hiring of staff or whatever, there may be an additional meeting. So, and it's usually in January and February, are those 2 meetings that you go to.
Okay. I can attend both of those. I would imagine that those are 2 times that you'll be very busy.
Yeah, I prefer not to do that again.
Okay. I'd be happy to take that one as well. Okay. Terry, did you catch all of that?
Probably should verify. So facilities, Dite, Berglund.
That's correct.
Communications, Freund, Berglund.
Yep.
Finance, Dite, Mac.
Yes.
Negotiations, Mac, Rottinghouse.
Yes.
Policy, Freund, Rottinghouse.
Yes.
SiAC, Freund, Rottinghouse.
Yes.
And then the delegate assembly, are you going to wait on that one?
Yeah, we're gonna hold that one.
And then the county conference map.
Yes. Thank you. Agenda item number 12. Policy and regular meetings. So currently our meetings are set at 6:15 on the 2nd and 4th Monday of every month. We can keep that time. We can have a discussion if we want to change that time to an earlier time. We don't want to go too early so that people can attend the meeting and those of us who are working get off in time to go. So what is the thought of the group?
And we don't want to go too late and be here at 9 or 10 o'clock yet either.
Right.
Yeah, I prefer not to be an 8 o'clock meeting if we can get away with that.
I think it's up to those who work. This is fine with me.
Okay.
Scott, what's your preference
6:15
in
works.
terms? That works? Okay.
Okay. Terry, do we need a motion on that one?
Why don't we go ahead and do a motion?
Okay.
Have it that way on the agenda.
All right, then let's do a motion for that.
Okay, I move to set the regular meetings at 6:15 PM on the second and fourth Mondays of the month and direct the board secretary to change, well, to leave the policy
Yeah.
alone.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Scott. So we have a motion and a second to keep the regular meetings at 6:15 PM on the second and fourth Mondays of the month and direct the board secretary to keep the policy as is. Any discussion?
I just have one question. In December, we only have one board meeting, correct? On the 9th? Okay, all right. I just want to be sure.
Great question.
Okay.
Any other discussion? All those in favor, aye?
Aye. Excuse me, I'm gonna get my pen.
I have an extra
All those
pen.
opposed, same sign.
Okay.
Motion carries 5-0. Comments by board members and superintendents?
So on our goal one, board superintendent goal one of equity and achievement, I'm really proud of our staff, school board members and student board members that presented the school board convention last week on interest-based bargaining. Super proud of their work. There's lots of questions from other districts. I literally, I think President Mack has happened to us a little bit. Just we get stopped in the hall multiple times by people that sat in our presentation, like, "Hey, how'd you do that?" And like, "Really? Is that really can work that way? Like everybody's friendly and nice to each other?" And it was great. We continue to get emails, so we're just sharing the good news because we just believe we want other school districts to find a better way. So, but also really proud, especially of board member Tilton, who came down as a student board member, spent all day down there and went to sessions, and we're having a share out on December 9th. We handed out some swag and information materials at our session, so it was a beautiful thing. I think he was the only student board member I saw there. So
I think I might have seen like one or two others, but that was
oh, well, we're not special anymore. But he was by far the minority that, again, one of our strategic goals being student leadership. And so we want to continue to do that. I'm also really proud of our staff. We've been networking, even outside the state, with other outstanding school districts to learn best practice things. We connected through the Portrait of a Graduate process when we did the Next 20 with a school district called Pike County Schools in Georgia. It's a suburban Georgia district, and we have learned a lot of great stuff they're doing around problem and project-based learning and concept-based learning and really employing the essential competencies. They've had it for about 7 years now and really have kick-started that off really high. I had a couple conversations with their superintendent, and it's been really fascinating, and we're going to have another conference call soon. He's super excited to learn more about our student leadership focus and the things we're doing with student leadership. We've even been talking about, it had pending a board approval and discussion at some point, some sort of staff exchange where maybe some of their people come up here, maybe some of our people can go down there. So we've been talking about that. I have a phone call coming up soon, but just want to keep you up to speed. We don't just limit the borders on finding best practice and how we can do better for our kids and teachers. So student engagement, been seeing some amazing things. I watched an amazing pumpkin bar lab today in 5th grade. So they baked pumpkin bars. I had some later, they're really good. And they had stations, and it was all about math and fractions. So, and you look at the students, how engaged they are, and the smile factor, and just get into it. Instead of like taking math and making it so like cut away from what we're actually doing, they actually have to apply it. And we know that's where the highest learning goes. But again, one of our strategic goals being student engagement. I was really impressed with that. There's one class that's building a simulated city, and using math with that. Because math sometimes is hard to really get into that. How are you going to use it in something really in the context? And that was great. This is another middle school example. They're taking wooden slats in 8th grade social studies and making a plat map of the county. And each one's responsible for like a township. So I was looking at a student at Cedar Township. I mean, how neat is that? They're going to have that. So just a lot of great things that's happening every day. Student leadership is also excelling. I see lots of examples. We have lunch leaders sweeping up the lunchroom. We have student ambassadors giving tours regularly. You'll hear our leaders on the radio speaking at KCHA. Sweeper leaders, I just randomly see them sweeping up the hallways, taking ownership of their schools. Student leaders going to the board conventions. So just some examples. Board Superintendent Goal 2 of Culture and Climate. Our work with at-risk students has been amazing recently. Just the work with Carlene's Closet, our food bank, our pantries, and there's so many stories I can't tell you publicly, but I just want to affirm there's some beautiful things going on every day for some of our neediest and most at-risk students. And you'll see lots of food bags going home in the next couple of days as food security is an issue, but that is just connected to our mission of being a regardless school. Regardless of who you are, what your story is, you can learn and be loved, and that's just every day. We have an army of adults doing that. And shout out to our food leaders and Taher, who helped lead a beautiful family-style Thanksgiving dinner at the elementaries last week. And again, family-style, tying back to our core values. Baseball and softball fields are on track and on schedule right now. We have a blizzard possibly coming, so we're working with a contractor. We're going to work with that. They're wanting to lay sod this week, and we're working on how we might have to. It's kind of hard to lay sod in blizzard, but we're still working through that. They're pouring concrete today, though, so they're taking advantage of the good weather. And so I'll keep you up to speed on that. Maybe the storm will miss us. So a lot of good stuff going on. Wanted to share it, but that's what's going on in the district.
Thank you, Superintendent Fisher. Anybody else?
Well, I just wanted to say I had a great time at the convention, and to add on to Mike's comment about the pumpkin bars, my daughter was a part of that, and she couldn't wait to go to school this morning to make the pumpkin bars, not just because they were getting to do that in class, but because they were sending them off to all of the other classes at the middle school, and that's what I thought was cool. They weren't just doing it for themselves, they were sharing them with everybody else, so.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, I would echo a little bit of what Superintendent Fisher said. After the conference, after we presented, I've had an opportunity to present at a couple different things, and I've never had as many people come up and be so engaged and interested in what I had to say as that one. They were lining up, which was really great. And then walking around, we got kind of celebrity recognized, and some people came up and started talking to us, and it was great. It was really good. So. I think that was a great presentation and an opportunity for other people to see what we were doing and how great it was. So it was very exciting. Director Tilden and I got to walk around the vendor show together, and he did a fantastic job talking to vendors about different ideas that he had, and he got engaged with several of them. It was great to see. He seemed very excited, at least where I was standing, so I hope he had a good time. And then Missy and I had an opportunity to share Finance 201, which was really good. It was probably the most engaging IASB finance presentation I've ever had the opportunity to attend. We learned a ton of information and got really good information about the district, which Missy and I thought would be great, so we shared it with all of you. And it's in that orange folder I gave you. So just really great stuff. So.
Student Director Tilton spent the afternoon chaperoning me around the convention center, and so when we have our share out at our next meeting, we'll work together so that we each have 1 or 2 points to talk about from the sessions that we attended.
It's fun.
It's good.
Okay. Agenda item number 14, committee reports. So we had a finance committee. Director Dett, you want to talk about that a little bit?
We had a finance committee meeting on November 15th where we again took a look at cash flow projections for the sales tax and the Pebble accounts in the future. And I think we're planning on having another committee meeting within the next couple of weeks. If that date hasn't been set yet, it will be soon.
Great, thank you. Superintendent Fisher, do you want to talk a little bit about negotiations so far?
Yes, we've had good meetings. I meet with the teacher negotiation team monthly. We're going to start up support staff negotiation discussions soon as well. And we've been working through Schedule F. That's been an ongoing year-long process, trying to get some improvements to that process. And also, and this is what I love, we're, at some point the school board in the next couple of months will make a determination on early retirement, and that's a collaborative process with the association. They came to a committee meeting and we had a nice discussion about pros, cons of timing, and I think you're going to see in the future a recommendation from the negotiations to the board on some common sense changes to that can make it flow much easier and just be easier on everybody, board and staff. So I just want to echo out the power of collaboration. We just groups work together and was really impressed with that. And also a couple teachers had to show up to that meeting at 7 o'clock and then report back to classroom at 7:30. So we appreciate their flexibility in helping us out with that.
Great, thank you so much. Did anybody have the opportunity to do any job shadowing since our last meeting?
Well, I was going to ask a question on that. Have we gotten the names yet for this year for our job shadow?
No.
Okay, I didn't.
We were waiting
fix-
for the new
for
board
this.
to be
Okay,
seated.
okay.
Well, we'll get that.
Okay.
We'll get that by next board meeting. So.
Great question. Okay. Agenda item number 15, the CCCE Letter of Understanding. So this is a letter to establish an assistant bowling coach for the 2019-20 year.
Since this is we're in the middle of a 3-year, we're just beginning a 3-year contract on language, we found that our bowling numbers were so high that we really needed another assistant bowling coach in a compensated position. However, the position didn't exist on Schedule F. So we worked with the negotiations group to have a side agreement that we could put in that eventually will be rolled into the new contract in 3 years when it reopens. But this allows us to figure out, the compensation. And we worked kind of in a formula process to figure out where it should sit with other comparable coaches. So this was the side agreement that the association and district came to.
Thank you. I entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the letter of understanding with the CCCEA to establish an assistant bowling coach position for the 2019-20 fiscal year on level H of the master contract as recommended.
I'll second.
Thank you. We have a first and a second to approve the letter of understanding with the CCCEA to establish an assistant bowling coach position for the 2019-20 fiscal year on level H of the master contract as recommended. Any other discussion?
Glad to see our bowling numbers keep going up and the position is needed.
That's great.
In the community with the bowling alley in town and everyone else really supports the program, so it's a positive thing to be happening.
Great point. Excellent, thank you. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes 5-0. Agenda item number 16, consideration of the consent agenda. I'll entertain a motion unless anybody has any discussion on any of the consent agenda items.
You want to, before we make a motion, would you just review for the new board members how we usually handle consent?
So the consent agenda is listed items here. In this particular one, we have a person resigning from their position as head volleyball coach, and we also have a person starting, our assistant bowling coach, and then we have an employee being moved, and then we have some agreements, I guess would be a great way to put it. Thank you. If anybody has any topics, we can pull one of those out, have a conversation around that one. Otherwise, typically we would just approve those all in one motion.
And typically our process has been, if you want to pull something off the consent agenda to discuss, we usually do that at the beginning of the meeting when we approve the agenda.
Or you can do it now.
Right, you can do it now.
Just standard process.
And you don't need a second to pull it. I'll move to approve the consent agenda as listed.
Okay.
I'll second.
We have a first and a second to approve the consent agenda items as listed. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. And with that, we will end the meeting.
Recess.
Recess the meeting to Lincoln's coach's room for a work session.